What if the pyramids of Egypt were not the beginning of civilization, but the leftovers of something far older? Because hidden beneath the sands of the desert lies evidence suggesting an entire civilization may have existed before ancient Egypt itself. A civilization powerful enough to build massive monuments, and mysterious enough to vanish almost completely from history. For thousands of years, Egypt has been called the cradle of civilization, the land where humanity supposedly first mastered monumental architecture, astronomy, engineering, and organized society. But a growing number of discoveries are beginning to challenge that story, because scattered across deserts, buried beneath sand, and hidden beneath ancient ruins are clues suggesting something shocking. Egypt may not have been first. Long before the rise of the pharaohs, before the pyramids of Giza, before written Egyptian history even began, another civilization may have already existed. And according to some researchers, traces of that forgotten world still survive today. The mystery begins deep beneath the Egyptian desert. Modern archaeologists using satellite imaging and ground-penetrating radar have identified strange underground anomalies near several ancient sites. Buried structures, hidden chambers, massive stone foundations older than the dynasties built above them. At first, scientists assumed these were natural formations or remnants of later construction. But the deeper they investigated, the stranger things became. Some buried stone blocks appeared heavily eroded, as if exposed to water thousands of years before the surrounding monuments were constructed. And that presents a major problem, because large portions of Egypt have been dry desert for an incredibly long time. Yet some ancient structures show patterns of erosion that resemble prolonged rainfall that would date back far earlier than dynastic Egypt itself. This has led some geologists and historians to propose an extraordinary possibility. Certain ancient monuments may predate Egyptian civilization entirely. And if that's true, who built them? Because the official historical timeline says advanced civilization in Egypt emerged gradually around 5,000 years ago. But discoveries like these hint at something older, something already sophisticated before Egypt officially existed. And the clues don't stop there. Across the Egyptian plateau, archaeologists continue uncovering evidence of astonishing engineering from the very earliest periods of Egyptian history. Massive stone cutting, advanced mathematics, perfect astronomical alignments, construction methods so precise they continue baffling engineers today. Normally, civilizations evolve slowly. Simple structures come first. Advanced engineering comes later. But in Egypt, some of the oldest structures appear among the most advanced. It's almost as if the knowledge appeared suddenly, fully developed from the very beginning. That pattern deeply troubles historians, because it doesn't fit the normal progression of civilization. And some alternative researchers believe they know why. They argue the ancient Egyptians inherited knowledge from an earlier civilization already lost to time. A civilization destroyed long before recorded history began. A civilization erased. Now, mainstream archaeologists reject many of these theories. They argue there's no direct proof of a forgotten supercivilization. But even skeptics admit there are mysteries in Egypt still unexplained, especially when it comes to the pyramids themselves. Take the Great Pyramid of Giza. The structure contains over 2 million stone blocks, many weighing multiple tons. Its alignment to true north is astonishingly accurate. Its dimensions contain mathematical relationships still debated by researchers today. And despite decades of study, historians still argue over exactly how it was built. But perhaps the most unsettling mystery is this. Why do some ancient Egyptian texts refer to a distant first time? A lost age before the pharaohs. An era when divine beings supposedly ruled earth and passed sacred knowledge to humanity. To mainstream scholars, these stories are symbolic mythology, but others believe they may preserve fragmented memories of a real prehistoric civilization, one destroyed by catastrophe, perhaps floods, perhaps climate collapse, perhaps something even worse. And if such a civilization truly existed, evidence of it would be incredibly difficult to find today, because time destroys almost everything. Metal rusts, wood decays, cities collapse. After thousands of years, only massive stone structures might survive, and Egypt is filled with stone structures. Some researchers even point to ancient submerged ruins discovered off coastlines around the world, possible remains of settlements now underwater due to rising sea levels after the last ice age, meaning entire civilizations could have vanished beneath oceans and deserts thousands of years before recorded history began. And maybe Egypt inherited fragments of their knowledge. That possibility changes everything, because it would mean humanity's story is far older and far stranger than we've been taught. And perhaps the pyramids were never truly Egyptian at all. Perhaps they were inspired by something already ancient when the pharaohs arrived. Something mysterious buried beneath the desert sands. But the mystery only gets darker from here. If a forgotten civilization existed before Egypt, then how advanced were they? Because some ancient structures buried beneath the desert display engineering so precise, it almost looks impossible. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding ancient Egypt is not the pyramids themselves. It's a precision. Because the deeper engineers study ancient monuments, the harder it becomes to explain how they were created using supposedly primitive tools. Massive granite blocks cut with astonishing smoothness. Perfect angles. Straight cuts so precise they resemble machine work. And stone surfaces polished to extraordinary levels of accuracy. Even today, replicating some of these achievements would require advanced tools, industrial equipment, and enormous manpower. Yet according to mainstream history, ancient builders supposedly accomplished all of this using copper chisels, stone hammers, ropes, and human labor. For many researchers, that explanation simply feels incomplete, especially when examining some of the oldest structures connected to Egypt. Because strangely enough, the earliest monuments often appear more sophisticated than later ones. That shouldn't happen. Normally, civilizations improve over time. Engineering advances gradually. Techniques become more refined. But in Egypt, some ancient stonework seems to emerge suddenly at an incredibly advanced level right from the beginning. And nowhere is this mystery more obvious than in the pyramids themselves. The Great Pyramid of Giza contains stone blocks weighing several tons each. Some internal granite beams weigh over 50 tons. The structure aligns almost perfectly with true north. Its measurements contain mathematical relationships connected to geometry and astronomy that continue fascinating researchers today. But perhaps even more mysterious are the underground structures beneath certain Egyptian sites. Hidden chambers, deep tunnels, massive stone corridors carved through bedrock. Some walls display marks that resemble high-speed cutting tools. Others contain drill holes with spiral grooves so precise that modern machinists struggle to explain them. And then there's the granite. Granite is one of the hardest stones on Earth. Cutting it even with modern tools requires tremendous force. Yet ancient builders shaped enormous granite blocks with remarkable precision thousands of years ago. How? That question has fueled endless debate. Mainstream archaeologists argue ancient workers used abrasive sand, copper tools, and incredible patience. Alternative researchers disagree. They believe the evidence suggests something far more advanced, possibly forgotten technologies lost to history. And some theories go even further. Because certain ancient sites contain stone blocks so enormous that transporting them alone seems nearly impossible. At places like Baalbek in Lebanon and Pumapunku in Bolivia, gigantic megalithic stones weighing hundreds of tons were moved with astonishing precision. Some researchers believe these global similarities may point to a shared source of knowledge, a prehistoric civilization that spread advanced engineering techniques across the ancient world before disappearing. And Egypt may have inherited part of that legacy. The more researchers compare ancient sites worldwide, the stranger the connections become. Massive polygonal stonework, astronomical alignments, myths about gods descending from the heavens to teach humanity knowledge, and stories describing catastrophic destruction that erase an earlier age. Different cultures, different continents, yet eerily similar themes. Now, mainstream historians caution against connecting unrelated civilizations too quickly, but the patterns continue attracting attention, especially because many ancient monuments still contain mysteries no one fully understands. Take the precision of certain stone joints. Some blocks fit together so tightly that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. No cement, no mortar, just perfectly interlocked stone. Even earthquakes struggle to destroy them. Modern engineers admit this level of craftsmanship is extraordinary. And perhaps the most disturbing part is this. We still don't know exactly how it was done. Even with all our modern technology, some ancient construction methods remain uncertain. And every new discovery beneath Egypt only deepens a mystery, because recent scans continue revealing hidden chambers, underground voids, and buried structures beneath ancient monuments, meaning much of ancient Egypt may still remain hidden underground, completely unexplored. And if a forgotten civilization truly existed before Egypt, then perhaps the greatest discoveries haven't been found yet. Perhaps beneath the desert sands lie ruins older than the pyramids themselves, structures capable of rewriting the entire history of civilization. But the mystery grows even darker. What could erase an entire civilization from history? Not just its cities, but almost every trace that it ever existed. Because some researchers believe humanity may have already lived through a forgotten apocalypse long before ancient Egypt rose from the desert sands. If a civilization existed before Egypt, then one terrifying question immediately follows. What happened to it? Because civilizations do not simply disappear without a reason, especially civilizations advanced enough to construct massive stone monuments, underground chambers, and megalithic structures capable of surviving thousands of years. Yet if this lost world truly existed, something catastrophic must have destroyed it. And strangely, ancient cultures around the world may already describe that destruction. Nearly every major civilization contains legends of a great catastrophe, a flood, a fire from the sky, a destruction that ended a previous age of humanity. The Egyptians spoke of chaotic eras before dynastic rule. Mesopotamian texts describe devastating floods sent by the gods. Ancient Hindu writings refer to cycles of civilization destroyed and reborn. Even civilizations in the Americas preserve stories of earlier worlds wiped away by disaster. Different continents, different languages, yet the same terrifying memory appears again and again. Some researchers believe these stories may preserve fragments of a real prehistoric catastrophe, one so devastating it nearly erased an entire civilization from existence. And modern science may support at least part of that possibility. At the end of the last ice age around 12,000 years ago, Earth underwent dramatic environmental changes. Massive glacier melted. Sea levels rose rapidly. Entire coastlines disappeared beneath water. Areas that once supported human life were flooded forever. Some scientists believe sudden climate shifts may have caused enormous destruction across ancient populations. And if coastal civilizations existed at the time, they could now lie buried beneath the oceans, lost beneath thousands of years of sediment and rising seas. That possibility becomes even more disturbing when researchers examine ancient maps and geological evidence, because some submerged structures discovered underwater appear strangely artificial. Stone formations, possible walls, massive underwater ruins. Most scientists remain cautious, arguing many formations are natural. But others believe at least some may represent remnants of forgotten human settlements older than recorded history. And if those settlements existed, then history may be missing an entire chapter. A chapter erased by catastrophe. But perhaps the strangest evidence comes from the deserts themselves. Today, Egypt is one of the driest places on Earth. Yet thousands of years ago, parts of the Sahara were green and fertile, filled with rivers, lakes, animals, and human settlements. Satellite imagery has revealed ancient river systems buried beneath the sand, lost waterways stretching across regions now completely barren, meaning civilizations could have once thrived where only desert exists today. And if environmental collapse transformed those regions into wasteland, entire cultures may have vanished beneath the shifting sands, almost completely erased, except for the stone structures they left behind. Structures like the pyramids, the Sphinx, and buried underground ruins still being discovered today. Some researchers believe survivors of this catastrophe carried fragments of their knowledge into later civilizations, including Egypt. That would explain why advanced engineering seems to appear so suddenly in the ancient world. Because the knowledge wasn't newly invented. It was inherited, passed down from survivors of a forgotten age. And perhaps that's why ancient Egyptian texts speak so often about sacred knowledge received from divine beings. Maybe those gods were actual survivors of an earlier civilization, humans whose technology and knowledge appeared godlike to the people who came after them. Now, mainstream historians reject these theories due to lack of direct evidence. But even they admit there are enormous gaps in humanity's understanding of prehistory, especially before the invention of writing. Because without written records, entire civilizations could vanish almost completely from history. And if a global catastrophe occurred thousands of years ago, most traces of advanced societies would likely be destroyed, leaving behind only scattered ruins and myths. Fragments, whispers, echoes hidden beneath the sands of Egypt. But perhaps the most unsettling possibility is this. What if humanity is not the first advanced civilization to rise on Earth? What if another world existed before ours and disappeared? Because the deeper we investigate ancient Egypt, the more the official timeline begins to crack. What if the pyramids were never just tombs? Because beneath Egypt's ancient monuments lies a hidden world most people never see. Modern scans beneath several Egyptian pyramids have revealed strange underground voids, sealed chambers, and hidden passageways still unexplored today. Some tunnels descend deep beneath the bedrock. Others appear intentionally blocked by enormous stone slabs weighing multiple tons. And no one knows exactly what may still remain hidden behind them. Researchers have also discovered unusual electromagnetic anomalies near certain ancient sites, leading some theorists to wonder if the pyramids once served a purpose far beyond burial rituals. Energy structures, ancient machines, or remnants of forgotten knowledge from a civilization erased long before recorded history. Mainstream archaeologists reject many of these theories, but one fact remains impossible to ignore. The deeper we explore beneath Egypt, the stranger the mystery becomes. What if ancient Egypt was never the beginning, but the survival of a forgotten world? The evidence continues to grow. Massive stone structures, impossible engineering, hidden underground chambers buried beneath the desert. None of it fully fits the timeline we've been taught. And maybe that's because an entire civilization existed before Egypt, one destroyed by catastrophe and erased almost completely from human memory. But not entirely, because fragments may still survive inside the pyramids, ancient myths, and buried ruins hidden beneath the sands. Perhaps the Egyptians inherited sacred knowledge from survivors of that lost world. Or perhaps the truth is even stranger. Maybe humanity has already forgotten one advanced civilization before, and history could repeat itself again.